Hello. And I already said hello, but how are you doing today?
Doing good.
Nice. My coffee's so full it's almost overflowing. It's risky. It's risky. Well, to all of the wonderful listeners, we've got Carlos Toro on today. Carlos, I know you because you are Monica's dad, which, for all those who don't know, Monica's my girlfriend. Thanks for being on today. You're actually one of the first people that I'm able to record. I'm excited to see how it goes. If it's a little rough, it is what it is. So I'm excited though. Um, I guess for anybody who is listening in, this is more or less just a space to come in and talk about things and be entertained, informed, and involved within just a plethora of random different topics of discussion. Not really limited to a certain topic, but also just like with the freedom to just talk. So, thanks for, being kind of the guinea pig of the run. I appreciate it, as
No,
always.
bro.
Um, and yeah, I'll after it's done, I'll send it to you, and you can tell me what you think. But how are you doing this morning?
Doing good. Doing good. The weather
Nice.
is nice, and I'm looking forward uh, to talk a little bit about life, I guess.
Yeah. What's the temperature over there right now?
Oh, here, I don't know. Let me check. I think it's like 87.
Yeah. Why don't you tell everybody where you're at right now?
Well, I am in Trujillo Alto, Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Um, well, Puerto Rico is in the Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
south of Cuba and Dominican Republic. Kind of in the middle of the Atlantic, not quite, but pretty close.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I've been living here for 29 years, and I lived in Michigan like for 12 years. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, we're here in Puerto Rico, so
It's
everybody's welcome. I know you have been in Puerto Rico,
I
and I
have
know,
been once. Yeah,
and
you let me stay, so I didn't have to spend thousands of dollars on a house. Yeah,
yeah. So,
always
but
appreciated.
yeah, the good thing is that you've been here, so you know exactly where I am right now. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I'm
you can
jealous of the
relate.
weather. It's 31 degrees outside right now, just slightly 1 degree below freezing. All the leaves are changing colors, and most of them are already fallen down by now, but no snow yet. No snow
Oh,
yet.
okay.
Yeah, so
I don't mind the Midwest. I mean, sometimes it's tough, but I do like the change of seasons. So something
yeah.
we don't get. We don't really get that in the Caribbean. We get cooler weather at night. Right now, compared to when you were here, um, at night is quite nice.
No.
So yeah, it's cooler. You don't need three fans.
Yeah, yeah. I would always like wake up kind of like not sweating but damp, and it was
No,
such a
no, no.
transition because I'm always used
You
to
sweat.
waking up.
You sweat. I mean, I sweat. I get up, like sweating. Like yeah, yeah. But now it's better.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's got to be
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
yeah.
So, I guess I mean you kind of like were describing that you lived in Michigan and Puerto Rico, but were you born in Puerto Rico? Because then, or like,
Um,
give a little walk story of like where you're from, I
no,
guess.
no. I was born in Raleigh, like they say, Raleigh, North Carolina. Um, when my father and my mother were going to graduate school there, my mother was going to UNC, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. My dad was going to North Carolina State and in Raleigh. So I was born there in 1963, in the middle of winter. Um, so yeah, I lived there for I don't know 3 4 years. Then we moved to Puerto Rico, and So I spent maybe 15 years in Puerto Rico, and then I moved to Michigan to go to Michigan State University. So I stayed in Michigan from uh, until 1993. Um, so then came over here, and I've been in Puerto Rico since.
Nice.
So yeah, pretty much I was thinking about that out of my 59 years. I mean, uh, half, more or less. I've been more than half. I've been in Puerto Rico, but the time I spent in Michigan was quite nice. You know,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoy the Great Lakes.
The Great
Um,
Lakes. I know. It's
yeah,
crazy.
so it was fun. Three of my daughters were born in Lansing, Michigan, and two of my daughters, Monica and Veronica, were born in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So I have ties to Michigan, big ties. My
Yeah.
two grand, the three grandkids are in Michigan, in Grand Rapids, by the way, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh.
So I'm a grandpa. Um, two boys and one girl, and John, I think it's John, Turner, and Nora. So
Those are
yeah,
those are
so my
dope names.
grandpa. Uh, so it's been a good ride. I mean, it's fun. So
So you said you went to Michigan State. What were you studying at Michigan State? Did you ever do the thing where you go in thinking you know what you want to do and then you're like, psych, and then you switch like I did, or how was
no,
that
no,
journey for you?
I went to well, I wanted to be a sports psychologist. I really, and I don't know, it's kind of a story. In 1979, and the Pan American Games here in Puerto Rico, my mother talked to me about sports psychology. She said, look, the Cuban delegations have a sports psychologist, and I was a pretty good athlete. My mother was a great athlete, and and I said, wow, sports psychology, that sounds interesting. So when I graduated from high school, um, I said, where do I go to study this? I mean, what do I do? I mean, I didn't know where
Hmm.
to start because it wasn't big. I mean, sports psychology was not a big profession at that time. So I applied to UCLA, UNC, Michigan State, UPR,
Hmm.
and I got accepted at the universities. But I had family in Michigan.
Yeah.
My one of my dad's cousin were there in East Lansing, and I saw Michigan, and I saw Michigan State, and I liked the Michigan State campus, and I decided to go no pref. I have no idea what I was going to do, so I said
Okay, yeah.
I went as a no preference major. I mean,
Undecided.
undecided. They
Yeah.
call it undecided now. Then in the 1981, it was no pref. So I said, okay. So I went no prep the first semester, and I talked to Michigan State's sports psychologist, Dan Gould.
Hmm.
And he said, you want to be a sports psychologist? Do this. And I did it. I did a bachelor's in science, in social science, specialized in psychology. And then I did a minor in coaching.
Hmm.
It's called, it's still it's called like that, coaching, physical education, kinesiology. And that's what I did. And 4 years later, went to graduate school at Michigan State in the kinesiology department. It was
Same.
called, yeah, it was called physical education and exercise science. Now it's called kinesiology department.
Hmm.
And I did my graduate studies there, and and then I got a break into coaching in East Lansing High School during my graduate school.
Hmm.
So I started coaching in 1986, and to this day. I've been
Yeah.
coaching my whole life, and then I had a spurt of uh, being a faculty member at a university, and now I am back into full-time coaching again.
Mm-hmm.
So so
So
that's
I
what I'm
guess.
doing. Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
So I guess what exactly does sports psychology entail? Like what cuz I
Um,
actually never really heard
that
of
is a
that.
good question. I mean, that is a question that we have been trying to answer for 30 years. I mean, we just had a think tank at Michigan State in May, and we talked about that. I mean, man, what is a sports psychologist? I mean, we're not a psychologist, right? Because we're
Yeah.
not. I mean, there's some clinical psychologists that are sports psychologists, but I think basically we are mental performance specialists, sports mental performance specialist, and
Okay.
we just specialize in uh, training, preparing the athletes for competition, and sometimes we go into social issues too. We go into a little bit of sports sociology too, different sports, different cultures,
Mhm.
politics. I mean, we could go. It's a wide range of themes and issues, but basically, um, how double ASP is the organization is called the Applied. Uh, how it's called, Association of Applied Sports Psychology. So
Mhm.
they have a certification that is called the Mental Performance Consultant.
Yeah.
So that's what we really are are going for. But if you go to Michigan State and we have the Institute of Youth Sports, sports psychology concentrates too on the issues with youth sports.
With
Dropout,
okay, yeah.
abuse, bullying, um, gender,
Mhm.
um, coaching education. Sports psychologist. What I do, what I specialize is in coaching education.
Yeah.
Training coaches, developing what they call in Canada master coach developers.
Yeah.
So we try to educate the coaches, especially in the youth level,
Mhm.
to 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 be to create an environment that is healthy for the kids.
Yeah.
Because sports it could be very unhealthy for the
Mhm.
kids.
Yeah.
So we work on that. So that's what I mostly specialize in coaching
Yeah.
education, and that's what I'm doing at a club right now. And so pretty much I see it that if I can train a person to be a great coach, a master coach,
Mhm.
then he will be a positive influence on the young athletes.
Yeah. So it's
So
kind
so
of
that's yeah,
sorry. So it's I guess if I'm understanding correctly, it's kind of like you are a coach as well as a sports counselor, I guess, where you're trying to create an environment that's healthy, that is it's good for growth, I guess. And
right.
but you don't all but it's you teaching other coaches on top. Do you ever like interact with your because you coach too, right? Do
Right.
you I assume you take some of those concepts and apply them to how you interact with your own
Exactly.
athletes and okay,
Exactly.
so
Yeah, like the
okay.
thing that what I do, my I wrote a chapter in a sports psychology book here in Puerto Rico, and one of my chapter was the integration of mental skills in a training session. So I
Mm-hmm.
use my knowledge to integrate um, mental preparation into the young athlete. So my objectives are technical, are tactical, physical, and mental. So I
Mm-hmm.
have four objectives in my training sessions. So that's the way I see sports psychology. I mean, at the think tank, one of my recommendations were um, that they talked about sports psychology for children, and I said, well, I mean, you're not going to teach a 10-year-old um, to visualize
Yeah.
and prepare. You have to integrate the skills into the training session.
Yeah.
And one way to do that, in my opinion, is through the positive feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So the 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 feedback that I give the kid is going to really prepare him or her, um, prepare that person. I mean, I'll be correctly prepare that person to work towards adversity. So you have obstacles in life, you have obstacles in sports. So how do you work through that adversity? How do you work through obstacles and problems? And be healthy about it. Do it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess I don't know when it comes to at least my limited knowledge of sports because I don't have that much because I've always been more of a musical like uh performance more like but when it comes to that isn't like your mind like half of the or maybe even more than half because you know how like your body is a very capable machine but your brain almost keeps it from trying to push itself too far and most of the
Mhm.
battle is mental where it's can you stay focused and really push through um and I guess from my limited knowledge it sounds like you try to foster that when it feels like you can't finish this coat or this session out and you're just exhausted where can you find that adversity to kind of like keep going to the wall for example I guess would you say it's correctish or like
Yeah, I mean, my brother is a musician, and and so we talked about this a lot. I mean, the performance is pretty much musicians and in theater is the same approach. I mean, sports psychology. I mean, is performance psychology or performance mental preparation. I don't know. We have to change the name. I think that's one thing we talked about. It's like sports psychology is too general. I think you can be more
mm-hmm
specific, especially with musicians. I mean, it's the same way. It's the same issues as an athlete. You have
yeah
performance issues. You have stage fright. You have the same way you have stage fright. You have field fright in sports. I mean, you could train really well, but you cannot play really well.
mm-hmm
And so, if you look at theater and music, it's the same way. I mean,
yeah
you have to prepare perform that performer to take away those negative thoughts. I think everybody's got a lot of negative thoughts, and that's the hardest part.
yeah
And you create negative thoughts through the younger years. If you have a coach that's very negative and very callous, I would
mm-hmm
say, then you create that mindset
yeah
that is not very positive. And then when you find an adverse moment, you find an obstacle, you quit. Say,
yeah
I cannot do it. And there's a professor in Stanford, Carol Dweck, that wrote a book about mindsets, and all her examples were athletes and
mm-hmm
performers and musicians and in the theater. You know how they prepare their mindset to to perform to do the skill. So, and there's two ways: you have the growth mindset and you have the fixed mindset. The fixed
mm-hmm
mindset is the one that when they see the obstacle, they say, I cannot do it. It's too hard. And you have the growth mindset that says, I have a problem. I don't look at any excuses and I will solve the problem.
mm-hmm
Maybe I will not succeed the first time around, but I will keep going to find the answer, to find a solution to the problem. And that's what I'm trying to do with the kids and the coaches. You know, have a growth mindset. Don't have a fixed mindset.
mm-hmm
Don't don't look at something and say, well, that's too hard. I cannot do it. Um, and trying to find a solution.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I think performance and musicians, the theater, the athletes are you could apply that. I mean, you could
Yeah.
apply the mental performance consulting to them too. So um, and yeah, I think that's pretty much a
Cool.
general
Yeah.
view.
I mean, I can see in comparison to like I mean, I've performed a couple of times and it's always very true where you're right there, you're next on the lineup and you're just like
Yeah,
trying to get yourself to go out there and do it is what you've been practicing and what you've been doing all along and
and
sometimes
it's
it's
live.
difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
athletes
Yeah.
and performers are live. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
cut. Okay, try it again. No, no, you're live. You have
Yeah.
1,500 people watching you, or 70,000 people watching you. I mean,
Not me, but
it,
maybe soon.
well,
Yeah.
I'm talking. It could be 200 people. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember myself when I was young. I mean, in a classroom of 20 people, I was shaking in high
Yeah.
school just to do a speech.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
nothing. That's 20 friends of yours, but but you're sitting there trying to perform.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um,
More, yeah. I definitely agree. So like on that journey of sports psychology and you got your degree and you've kind of been doing a bunch of things, but I in past conversations we brought up the you've been trying to start up an LLC or you have successfully started up an LLC. And I guess if you wanted to touch base on like how that process worked and like what exactly you aim to do next with it and
yeah,
like how yeah, if you want to just jump right in.
yeah. The idea um, it started of a friend of mine, ex student, ex player, um, called me around August, September 2021, and he had a call from a club, a soccer club in Colombia, and they were asking for some work on developing a methodology for the club.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, sure, let's go into the project. So we went individually, and we worked on that project. It went really well. Um, we developed a methodology for the club. We developed coaching education. He's a specialist in sports pedagogy and exercise science, and I'm an expert on the sports psychology part, the mental. So after that, we decided, you know what, this is cool. I mean, we could do this full time. I mean, this is
Yeah.
a fun experience. It was a fun experience. And then during my sabbatical at Michigan State, last January to May 2022, I met with John Hamill. John Hamill, I mean, my partner is Jorge Hoyos, and then I met John Hamill, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm part of his dissertation committee. And he's an exercise physiologist.
Yeah.
So the three of us decided, wait a minute, we could do really a total performance analysis of athletes and coaches and clubs here, because we have a physiologist, we have a pedagogist, we have a mental performance, we have the three areas, the most important areas in kinesiology and
Yeah.
sports, and let's start a company. And so we named it Football Total Performance Analysis, FTPA, LLC.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, we established that, what, like 3 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
August 2022.
So it took
And
you about like a year ish
it took us
to get
the
off the
idea
ground.
took like a year, and now we are entering a world that none of us had experience, because I was a coach teacher. Jorge is a teacher. John is finishing up his dissertation at Michigan State, and and we is doing the business has been really unique. Not to
Yeah.
say hard, but just the accounting, the lawyers, setting up the LLC.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're looking at, our mission is to help clubs, athletes, organizations, just to do a total performance analysis of the athletes and the coaches.
Yeah.
So we're into coaching education, we're into athlete performance, and now we're trying to find the clients.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a meeting tomorrow with a client, and then next week I have a couple of meetings just to find that first client, and 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 doing the website.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, Definitely, we should do some
Yeah.
podcasting, just to get it going. So
That's gotta be
uh,
exciting though.
yeah, I'm 59, and I think it's something I could do for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
right? Because it's something that uh, you travel, you do
Yeah.
it online, you do it in person. You could do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there are not a lot of companies, and there are not a lot of LLCs that do what we do.
Yeah.
There are a lot of LLCs that do the sports management, the money, the marketing,
Mm-hmm.
the most of the business part of it, you
Yeah.
know. But the total performance analysis is not there. You have the exercise physiologists doing on their own, you have the sports psychologists doing on their own, but they don't integrate the three.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we're kind of we are unique, and
Yeah.
but then again, positive. It's a big world. I mean, um, negative. Just to find the clients,
Yeah.
and getting that first try, that first pitch,
Mm-hmm.
that first opportunity. Um, that's the hardest part, I think.
Yeah. In order to like get it
That's what I've
rolling,
been
I
I've been reading
guess.
about, anyways. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but that's pretty much the essence of the company. Um, we want to look into federations. We want to look into clubs. We
Mm-hmm.
want to look into individual athletes, um, and everybody. All my advisors. The lawyers and the accounting is or the accountant are saying it's a good idea. I
Yeah.
mean, it is a good idea. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. That's gotta be exciting to look forward to, for
Yeah,
sure. Especially like doing something that you want to do, hopefully get it going, and then you can just do it for however long you like and kind of really get it off
yeah,
the ground. But of course, it's always the first clients that are pretty difficult. So,
yeah. And I think it's perfect timing because I have 36 years of experience on the field. Um, so I've seen a lot of things, and I think it's perfect timing just to do it right now.
yeah, it's got to be
It's a perfect.
exciting.
I think it's a perfect age, too. So
Cool.
let's see what happens.
Yeah,
But we're
exactly.
excited. We have a meeting every Thursday at 11. So like today, we have a meeting, and we talk about new clients, and what can we do.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working on the websites right now. We're
Yeah.
working on
Ooh, fun. Fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have people that are interested so far? Like
Well,
clients
yeah,
that.
we just had a meeting with I think it's called Leandro Sime Soccer Academy, and he's got like different camps. And I think the hardest part is that it's new for a lot of people. He was like asking tons of questions, and the thing he says, like, how can we do it? How can
Yeah.
we? And I said, well, it's just a matter of, um, if you have the camp, we will be there with your athletes, and we will do an analysis of all your athletes individually. So it'll be individual evaluations of
Yeah.
the athletes, and
So,
we use technology, we use video analysis, and we use questionnaires,
mm-hmm.
and we do the recommendations. So people like the idea.
Yeah.
The thing is that it's not cheap.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not cheap, and then
Is
because it's new, people are a little bit, oh, how can we do this so I don't scare people away? You
Yeah.
know,
That
uh,
it makes sense why the first couple clients would be a little bit more difficult to like figure out how exactly are you going to integrate it. So you would go in and like more or less analyze. That sounds very like hypocritical, but it's not. But you would basically go in and like analyze the different athletes. Would it be like you come in, you analyze it, and then you're out, or would it be like you work with the company then to like try integrate what you've noticed, or
okay, what
like
we do is like that he set up. He would do his training sessions. What we do is in the on the outside, we first of all we do the technology. We do like John would do the physiology of it. So
mm-hmm,
all the exercise physiology and the training, the physical part. Then Jorge will do the video analysis. It will be the technique, the decision making, and then I will do more of the mental preparation applications. There will be the questionnaires,
mm-hmm,
observation, and at the end of the week, we would give every athlete a recommendation of what they should be working on, their strengths, their limitations, or their weaknesses. We do like a SWOT, pretty much. It's like a
mm-hmm.
SWOT model, and the objective is to prepare that athlete for a professional contract. I mean, the
Yeah.
objective of the soccer academy is to prepare professional athletes. So we're trying to help the athlete develop the skills
Mm-hmm.
physically, mentally, decision making technique to sign a contract as a professional player.
Yeah.
So that is something that they don't have. The clubs don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Only the really rich clubs will have it, an exercise science department. But
Yeah.
most of the small clubs don't have it, and they want to get their athletes to sign some professional contracts. So how
Yeah.
do we do it? Well, then we say we are the answer.
Okay.
We are the answer. You know, FTPA is the answer because you could have the technology, but if you don't know how to analyze it
Yeah.
and do a total analysis of that player, because, for example, I mean, you could be physically fit,
Yeah.
that's great, but mentally or technical wise, you are very
Mm-hmm.
weak.
Yeah.
So, so how do you to put that into the whole package? And that's
Okay.
what we do. We put it into the whole package. You know, it's like a complete package, a complete analysis of that athlete's and coach's performance too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
yeah. I and like I said, I mean, it's new, it's different, and it's just to it's a we need a breakthrough. That's what we need. We just need that big
Yeah.
one break, and I think people are going to buy into it, and the clubs are going to buy into it. The federations right now, we're trying to get the Federation of Puerto Rico to buy into it. They don't have an exercise science department,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, if you have an exercise science department, I mean, it could cost you, I don't know, it could cost you $200,000 a year
Yeah.
just to have two people, $50,000 a year. It could be or more. Okay,
So,
so we would do camps
mm-hmm.
for the week, and we could help you out in not in a long term, but in a short term. We could help your national teams to get an
Mm-hmm.
analysis, a total football analysis of your team.
Okay.
So instead of expending $300,000 or $200,000, you could spend maybe $20,000.
Yeah. And then you would
So
have like that package where it
yeah,
would
you have
be for the camp and then okay, cool.
yeah,
It
the team, the coaches will have that information,
yeah.
and if you have four camps a year, well, then we'll be there 4 times a year. I mean, because
Quarterly analysis.
to have the full time, for example, if we do a full time, each one of us will be maybe 100,000 a piece to be
Yeah.
a full time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, John, for example, we put the numbers. I said, well, how much it would be to be a full time exercise physiologist? It would be like $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so that way we're trying to sell it that way. I mean, hey, you don't have that much money, but you could
Yeah.
get the advantage of the analysis.
Trying to make it
And
more accessible, I guess.
yeah, and that's happening. I mean, a lot of companies right now that, especially sports management, are helping organizations because they don't have the structure to run
Yeah.
it full time. So they do a consulting part. So
Okay.
um,
Well, that's, I mean, it's a pretty cool idea, and for you to like, so the other two, is it two, three? There's two other people that
there are
you're
three of us.
three,
Yeah, yeah,
three
three of us.
total, three total. So like,
Yeah,
how did you? I know you said one of them was finishing their masters at
their
Michigan
PhD, their doctorate.
PhD
Yeah,
doctorates at Michigan State,
Michigan State. Yeah,
and then the other one is where's
he's a teacher in Barcelona, Spain.
okay. So like. I mean, how did you guys meet? Where did this idea come from? Where it's like you guys sit down and you're like, oh,
Um,
or like how
well,
did this
it,
concept come to life,
it
I
started
guess?
with Jorge in Barcelona when he got approached by a club in Colombia because he's
Mm-hmm.
a Colombian living in Spain. So the club in Colombia called him and said, "Look, we need your help."
Yeah.
And then when he saw the project, he said, "Wait a minute, I need to get Carlos in the project because uh, it's a big project." So
Yeah.
that's where we started, and then we started
Mm-hmm.
talking about it, and we said, "Wait a minute, we can do this." And
Mm-hmm.
our goal, I mean, his goal is to quit teaching and
Yeah.
do this full time. So then when I started working on the idea, I was working with John and his dissertation and his research, and I said to Jorge, I said, you know what, man, if we get John into the mix, we have everything. We have a mini kinesiology department here.
Yeah. That's
I
awesome.
mean, we have physiology, we have pedagogy, we have sports psychology. That's a micro kinesiology department.
Yeah.
So, and then it just clicked. Then we talked to John, and John
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah, I'm in. I
Yeah.
mean, let's do it because one of the things that we learned in his research is that most of these areas are done in isolation. You know, when
Mm-hmm.
you go into the search, you have sports psychology consultant, you have physical performance consultant, you have a sports pedagogy consultant, but they work in isolation.
Mm-hmm.
And the research is showing that we need to integrate the three to develop or create a better analysis of
Yeah.
what's going on the field, what's going on the training sessions.
Makes
Um,
sense. Like a
yeah,
more
because when we started
well-rounded
working
approach.
in Michigan State, I mean, I worked 5 months with the Michigan State soccer program, and we were there every day. And he analyzed the physical part, and I analyzed the mental part, and we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot analyze in isolation
Yeah.
because
And
it could
it
get to yeah,
And it seems to, I mean, I assume that it seems to work fairly well, the well-rounded approach.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a future. I mean, I think it's a future.
Yeah.
I think it's a future because I mean, you have things like a coaching staff could say, "Oh, we're getting tired, and because we got tired, we lost the game." I'm like,
Yeah.
no, they weren't tired. They were mentally fatigued, not physically fatigued.
Yeah.
So if you have both of, when we're both of us working on it, we could realize that. I mean, wait a minute, this is not a physical problem.
Yeah.
It is a coaching. It is objectives. It's a totally different story.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that, I mean, that total analysis, you get a better picture of what's going on.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool idea where like you're trying to make it more like accessible for people that might not necessarily have the money, but you can still give them the benefits of at least some type of quarterly analysis or something like that where I mean it's cool because you found like this thing you can do and then you're like let's do it and then you can make some money off of it and I mean you love what you do so like it's got to be pretty cool for it to like kind of start to come to life because you've been working on it for a year-ish now and
Well, no, well, this
no.
idea maybe April,
Oh,
since
okay.
April or
Yeah.
May, and and it's a big market. I think the biggest market is in Central America
Mm-hmm.
and the north part of South America, um, and the U.S. I mean, right now the U.S. Um, is not really tapping into this idea. I mean, they have right now the MLS, the Major League Soccer. They don't hire. Not all of them hired exercise science experts.
Yeah.
Some do, but a lot of them don't. So, and that's just one specialist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when they see I mean, I think with time, especially Major League Soccer is going to find out that hey, we need a mini department. We need
Mm-hmm.
this concept that we're doing right now. I think clubs are going to buy in 2 or 3 years. That's what
Yeah.
we're expecting. The closer we
Mm-hmm.
get to the World Cup, I mean, the closer we get to the World Cup in 4 years,
Yeah.
that's in the U.S. That's when people are going to say, "Wait a minute, we need an edge,"
Yeah.
and we're not getting it the way we're doing it. So let's see. Let's talk to
Mm-hmm.
the and so
Would
that
would
I think that's the that is our mission. I think or our
yeah.
vision. You know that in 4 years we have some big clubs. Because definitely what we would like is 4 or 5 clients big enough just to support our work.
Yeah.
And because we cannot, I mean, we're only three of us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right now we can handle only so much. I mean, so, so yeah, that's, we're excited. We're
Yeah.
excited. So
It's got to be
when we
pretty.
talk
I
about it,
mean, it's got to be exciting, especially like with the hope of like, hey, people are gonna start looking for that edge, and we can be able to give it to them. I think that's a really cool and smart idea. How
yeah.
would you say that like so you go in, you do one analysis, and you give the team stuff to work on, and then like 3 months later you come back in and would you be able to see if they took what you said and like
Oh yeah,
tried to
yeah.
apply it? Would you say that your work like is it noticeable in the first 3 months or is it like 6 months or like what do you think?
Well, I mean, when it's camps and maybe it's 4 camps a year, we are. I mean, we're absolutely sure that we can see the difference in that time span, at 3 months or 4 months,
Mm-hmm.
because we have the data.
Yeah.
So all that data, we have that.
Mm-hmm.
So when we compare the data, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, we're going to see the differences,
Yeah.
and especially in all areas, because we could see a video analysis from 2022 and see a video analysis from 2023, and we can see the decision making, we can see his mental performance, we can see his physical performance, and we compare that because we have the data.
Yeah.
So yes, we can definitely tell if a player is improving or is in a plateau or is decreasing his performance.
Yeah. Okay.
And that
Cool.
yeah, we can definitely
You
get to
cause
those numbers.
you
Yeah.
can you're
And
just saying it. You're just like, oh,
then some people have told us that we should not concentrate on football. We should do other sports.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, well, okay, yeah, we thought about it, but we are specialists in football. We're three of us. We play football, so we know the sport of football. But if a volleyball federation or a volleyball
Yeah.
club, basketball club called us, yeah, we can work on different sports too.
And for clarification, it's not football americano. For the listeners, it's
It's
football as in
soccer.
soccer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Just for the clarification, because I know definitely some people are like, wait, football? Yeah, it's so weird.
It's it's it's
Yeah, because
it's
it is. It's football,
it's
and then
football. It's
yeah,
soccer. Yeah,
yeah,
it's soccer. That is. I looked it up, and I remember when I was young, I used to hate the name soccer, But I found out. I mean, I did my research, and I found out that soccer came from England. The name soccer came from England, from
Oh,
the English.
really?
Yeah. So I said, well, okay, I get it. So all these years I've been being like nasty about, no, it's not soccer, it's football, but it's
Yeah.
okay. You can use the word soccer because if the English use it, okay, we can use it.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So
funny.
so it came from England.
Hmm.
So
I guess
anyways,
while we're on the topic with the time we got left, what is just for my personal satisfaction, what is your in-depth knowledge of soccer, I guess? For example, like the history. So like cuz I know nothing cuz I
oh
know a little bit about like football, American football.
yeah, the
But I don't
history,
know the
huh?
history. I don't know the history. I just watch.
Um,
So like I assume that you
well,
probably know a little bit more.
yeah, yeah. I talk to my students about when I teach the courses in coaching and especially soccer, football. I did that at Michigan State when I was coaching teaching the soccer, coaching soccer at Michigan State. Really, the history is is all over the place. You
Yeah.
know, we in Puerto Rico, we play what is called a batu,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a game that you play with no with a ball out of roots and no hands.
Mm-hmm.
So we play soccer here. I don't know, 10,000 years ago or
Yeah.
15,000 years ago. In China, it, I don't know, 10,000 years ago, they play a game that was with a ball and no hands.
Yeah.
Um, Italy, they had some history about playing the sport. The Romans and the Roman Empire, you know, they were big in sports. I mean, sports was created before writing. I mean,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
writing was after. I mean, sports was before, then writing was after. So it's really old. I mean,
Yeah.
sports are really, really old. It's part of the our
Competitive
world society
nature.
for many, many years. I mean, it's natural for the human being to move.
Yeah.
So, before we wrote something, we play.
Yeah.
So, um,
And would you say that like the instances are like disconnected where humans just have this thing where we like kicking things around or we enjoy like throwing things where it's like they might not
yeah,
be connected but like the idea is similar because I find that interesting.
I, I, I think that if we play that batu, if the Chinese play the Italians, whatever, I
Mm-hmm.
think that just with the years, I think the English, the Britain, like, wait a minute. I mean, before soccer was rugby.
Yeah.
Rugby was before soccer. So soccer was born, well, from rugby.
Yeah.
But I think it's just with the movement of cultures, it just it came to what we see now, soccer.
Yeah.
Because we played it here. And it was a rectangular. And we
Mm-hmm.
have it, I have to take you, when you come back, we have to take you over there. It's
Okay.
a rectangle, and they were like seven players,
Mm-hmm.
and you cannot touch the ball with your hand.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it was more of a how many touches you get. It was a score. It was they didn't have any goals, but it
Mm-hmm.
was just with no hands. So if you, in my opinion, the closest to soccer was us,
Yeah.
not rugby. But then again, the Spaniards killed all the indigenous population,
Yeah.
so then it didn't come out that way. And then they started playing rugby. I don't know where rugby came from. And then
No
after
idea.
rugby, they developed soccer supposedly. But um, in it's really hard to
Yeah.
tell where it came from.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
I would
always.
not give it to the Brit. I would not give it to the Brits all the kudos. I guess I think it's just a matter of how cultures moved around, and
Mm-hmm.
how um, as a country took that idea and really develop it. I mean, they did
Yeah.
develop the sport. That I have to admit, they did develop what we see today. The Brits developed that. So,
Yeah. Okay.
but
So I guess one of the things that really fascinates me, not necessarily like soccer or anything like that, where like different like cultures in the past had very similar ideas, but they seem to do the same type of thing, but they didn't like cross communicate and share like, oh, this is what we do, so now you do it. Where like things like I guess like what I'm taking right now in class is a theater history class where like performance just being dramatic seems to happen in a bunch of different cultures just because we're they just seem to not necessarily appear like they develop, but the different cultures aren't cross collaborating. And while like their performances might be wildly, vastly different, it's still a performance in a sense where so it seems that humans just have this thing where we like to perform and we like to move and we like to like perform or compete and now I mean we don't we're not really competing anymore with swords and shields, but a
right,
feat of strength is still important to culture. So or
yeah, the
even
fundamentals. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like the fundamentals. Yeah, they're still there. I mean, still there. I mean, just like a tidbit of a fact. I mean, the CONCACAF. I mean, the South America, North America. I mean, the North America, Central America, and the Caribbean is kind of the youngest confederation in soccer,
Mm-hmm.
um, because the history. When you look at the history of the game, the real pioneers were the South Americans.
Mm-hmm.
They were the first one to develop what we see today as the World Cups
Mm-hmm.
and the different types of cups around the world. It wasn't Europe.
Okay.
It wasn't Europeans. They were the South Americans. I mean, the Uruguayans, los argentinos, los uruguayos, los brasileiros, los chilenos. Those were the ones that really took the sport. I mean, way and above, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I
Yeah.
mean, the first, like now we see a lot of the UEFA Champions League, that's the European Champions League or the European Championships, but they weren't the first ones. The first
Yeah.
one was the Copa America. Copa America was the first cup national teams in the world. They were the ones that created that concept, and then the Europeans, well, they have more money, they have
Yeah.
they have
Yeah.
they have more how you call it resources,
Mm-hmm.
and they transcend and develop a bigger
Yeah.
um, theater.
Yeah, I
They
guess.
but pretty much. I mean, football. I mean, soccer is. I have to give it to the South Americans.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna defer to you because you're the professional in the field. So if anybody asks, I'll be like,
Well, that's
Carlos
my
Toro.
opinion. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I
that's
know.
my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
I know it could be a lot of
Well,
different views on it, but
wildly
history.
debated.
I mean, I think history.
Yeah.
That's a fact. I mean, that is just a fact. By the way, the first World Cup was in South America.
Mm. Well, there you go.
Yeah, and the U.S. and the USA made it to the Final Four
No, really?
in
That's
the
kind of
first World Cup.
that's
Yeah,
kind of
that was our best
surprising. When
result.
was
That was
when
our
was
best result.
when was the first World Cup held? Do you know? Is it worth a Google search?
1930, 1930,
1930-ish.
1930,
Oh,
nineteen thirty.
that's 90 years ago. That's crazy to
That's
think about.
92.
Like, oh
92 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah, you're right.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
That's a long time. I was
that's
thinking about
awesome.
that. I mean, that's a long time. 92. And US in 1930 made it to the Final Four. Well, couple of things. The Europeans, the Europeans, it was hard for them to cross the Atlantic.
Yeah,
It was a month voyage,
yeah.
and
I
I don't know. It was
mean,
a
that's
long.
an
I mean,
upgrade from the 3-month voyage, but and now you could fly across the world in 24 hours.
exactly.
That's crazy. Yeah,
So
no, that's definitely probably changed the competitive nature of different like countries. And
yeah,
I'm all
yeah.
for sports competition instead of war. So we'll go with that. Cuz I don't know, there's still something about like you root for the best of the best of the people that really give it your all and like it's something that very primitive, very monkey like where we're like, yeah, somebody gets tackled to the ground and breaks a bone, yeah, or something like that. It yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit of well, most of the sports sociology is a big critique. You know how violence. I mean, we see
Yeah,
somebody get tackled in football, and his neck, the helmet's rolling, everybody's going crazy.
yeah.
And like, whoa,
Yeah.
it's very Roman-like, very, very,
Yeah, very much
very,
so.
very medium. No, not Middle Ages. I mean, way back. I mean, we're
Not as
talking.
gory now, but
Yeah,
back
but
then,
still, boxing is pretty gory.
yeah,
Hockey can get sometimes kind of
yeah.
tough.
Hockey's
Uh,
very, very fun to
Football, I mean,
watch.
American football, Australian football,
Hmm.
rugby. Um, uh,
I mean, now it's not with the intent to kill, so that's an upgrade. Where,
yes,
back
yes.
then it was like, yeah, I
Well,
love seeing body parts getting chopped off, or I
yeah. I
love
mean,
public. I mean, what do? You go out to picnic with your buddies and watch the public execution. Like,
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's
Dude,
better,
yeah,
but sometimes we see coaches with that attitude.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes we see coaches, and that's one thing that we deal with in sports psychology is we see coaches that instigate violence.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
good.
we sometimes. I mean, you hear coaches saying, "It's a good player, you just take him down," and we still see that. I mean, so
Take him down, as in
not long
like,
ago, the NFL had some problems with teams paying a bonus to players um, when it comes to tackles, and so they're instigating uh, violence.
yeah. So it's like
So
they would give if you manage to injure somebody and get them off the field for
well,
the game, then like,
the hits. If you hit a lot,
yeah.
you get bonuses. So
That's interesting. Okay, cool.
that was not long ago. I mean, that was not long ago. I mean, maybe 10 years ago,
Yeah.
8 years ago, maybe. And they find some teams. Um, cheating, gamemanship, and cheating in baseball. That was a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
In football, in soccer. I mean, it's been there forever. I mean, since the
Yeah.
1919 baseball scandal. I mean, so sports can get into a lot of the corruption that we see in our world and our
Mm-hmm.
society. Um, it is what it is. And trying to make it better,
Yeah.
but
I
it's
think,
something you have. There's something you have to deal with when you talk about billions of dollars. I
yeah.
mean, it's a
Yeah.
billion-dollar business. I mean, the NCAA is a
Yeah.
billion-dollar business.
Yeah.
I mean, don't look at the NCAA like, yeah, it's
You
great, but
don't.
it's a billion-dollar business.
Yeah. And
I
it's at
mean,
that point, do they care? Like, what I think is cool about what you're doing
kids
is,
cannot even buy a pizza at night. Have athletes
yeah.
at Michigan State or any other university that can't even buy a pizza or do laundry or see their parents, and you have this organization making billions of dollars. And
Yeah.
oh no, we cannot give the kids $300 a month. To have some stipend. Come on.
Yeah.
Give me a break. And it's like,
Yeah. I mean, at
I mean,
one
don't be
point, I
so
think,
hypocrite. I mean, it's hypocrisy to the
yeah.
max.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, it makes sense. I know, like, I mean, we're getting kind of running low on time, but I know, like, we talked about this in the past where, like, I mean, you kind of brought it up where like student athletes at least should be getting something because it is a business and they are employed in some way, shape, or form, and for
yes,
them not to,
they don't even
yeah,
have
it's
labor rights.
yeah.
They don't even have labor rights. I mean, they have rights. They're working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, they're bringing the business a lot of money, but
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, coming back to, I guess your company is like you're trying to bring the professionalism of exercise science into the field,
Hmm.
uh, I mean, I'm excited to see how it turns out for you. So excited to
Yeah.
keep updates and stuff like that. But I guess I mean we're kind of running out of time here, so
Okay.
we'll go ahead and kind of wrap up here. Um, I guess I mean thanks for being on. Appreciate it. Really good
Thank you, Joe.
conversation, and I'm
Yeah.
excited to work on this. Maybe I'll throw in some effects or something to make some dramatic effect. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't. This is one of the first ones that I've officially recorded for the Capstone project.
Yeah.
Once it's
I
done,
like
I'll be
this. I
sure
like this, by the
to
way.
send it your way. Yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah. I've been thinking
Um,
a whole bunch of topics that I would love to talk about and really steer
yeah.
the pod, like.
Yeah, no, it's definitely fun. But yeah, so thanks for coming.
Thank you.
For all of you wonderful listeners out there, I love the proximity effect. For all of you wonderful listeners out there, be sure to tune in next week. Be
All
sure
right.
to come in and listen to the next one. So yeah, thanks for being on, and I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Joe. And have a nice day. Have a good day and good luck.
Thanks.